Hey boom, it's ZaciRoo, and welcome back to another episode of the Stay True and Stay You podcast. In this episode, we are going to be talking about your spouse and why they may like diapers, whether you fall under the age regression or age play umbrella. This episode is going to be directed to you vanilla people out there in the community who happen to be lucky enough to have a spouse or significant other who is into diapers. Now, diapers is a very interesting subject because it's diapers. It's kind of a weird taboo thing to vanilla muggle people, as we call them. And, this episode is a call back to my What is AgePlay series, where I go over all the intrinsities and just different things that happen that are just very intertwined in a little, and what it's like to be with a little, and parsing all those different feelings that you may feel as your partner comes to you and says, hey, this makes me happy, this makes me feel safe, and I would very much like for you to be a part of it because I have this very yearning and deep desire. There are a lot of intrinsic things that go through the emotions that your partner is feeling leading up to discussing, telling you why diapers make them feel safe, why they like diapers, why diapers help them in different areas, whether it's sexual or non-sexual. So this episode covers that as a whole. I really encourage you to give this a good, thorough listen. If your spouse has come to you and said, hey, I need to talk to you about this. This is kind of a big deal to me, and I've been really afraid about this. I encourage you to have an open mind, an open heart, and as I say towards the end of the episode, open arms for your spouse for this, and and particularly just love. You love your spouse no matter what, your partner, whatever have you. So please give this episode a listen, and hopefully this helps you in your relationship with your spouse who is into diapers. So, I have a bit of experience when it comes to interacting with people who I've been close to or who I've interacted with on a deep personal level and found out or told them about my side of things. So I figured it'd be kind of a cool thing to talk about what it's like telling someone, particularly, hey, I'm into age regression. Hey, diapers make me happy. Hey, diapers make me feel safe. And just kind of explain to someone as if, quote unquote, they're not familiar with it or they're trying to research. That's why I'm hoping that you are someone who doesn't know what ABDL is, doesn't know what age play is or age regression is, and I'm hoping that essentially that my video is educational to you and helpful to you. I know there's not really a lot of information online other than articles written by therapists and stuff like that that are really from the community, and so I want to take this time, this opportunity to say, hey, let me share with you my story and let me share with you my experiences, and hopefully it will turn your experience from potentially a very, very bad negative into a very, very good positive. So essentially you say, well, what is age play? Age play is where someone who can be of any age, preferably an adult because it is considered a kink. This community is inclusive and 18 plus, just want to state that ahead of time, because with age play it is between two consenting adults. So with age play or age regression or whatever umbrella term you want to use for it, essentially it is where someone steps out of their shoes, whether that person be 29, 30, 46, 57, 78, or 18 or 19 or whatever age, and says, hey, I'm a bit worn out, I'm a bit beaten up by the world, I want to be a kid again, I want to be a baby again, I want to regress and just kind of tune out for a little bit. Age regression is a very, very unique thing because I believe it could be one of the most powerful tools that therapists could use in order to heal someone mentally. I myself can attest that it has healed me, that it has helped me so much that it has stopped me from doing very, very bad things to myself and potentially hurting those close to me. I can go ahead and tell you right now that being a little or age player or someone who regresses has saved my life. 2015 was not a great year for me, and I was on the verge of suicide, and this came back into my life after me purging and saved me from doing something very, very horrible. In fact, I wouldn't be here today without age regression. As funny as that sounds and as weird as that sounds that an inanimate object like a diaper can do that, it is very, very unique because
it's just something you wouldn't expect. You say, okay, cool, get a hobby, build something, do something constructive. But sometimes hobbies aren't enough. Sometimes hobbies just kind of take you out for a minute, versus with something like this where you actually step out of your age's shoes and say, hey, I'm going to be a kid, I'm going to be a baby. And not all age players wear diapers, not all littles wear diapers. Not everyone who is within the ABDL community, or whatever umbrella term you want to use, uses diapers, and that's totally cool. Some people do, some people don't. I myself do, because it's very comforting to me and just helps me de-stress. And honestly, it helps me with my bowel movements, because I have enough trouble as it is with having Crohn's and stuff like that. So it has more than one beneficial help, whether it's mentally or physically, or bodily in this case. So how it helps, whether it's a diaper, whether it's a toy or a pacifier or anything else that is infantile in nature, it is literally an object in which the person says, hey, this is what I identify with, this is what helps me just feel good about myself. It's just something that just helps. So they could have just the most awful, worst, bad day ever. They can come home from work, their boss told them off in front of a bunch of people, or they got demoted, or they were fired, or just in general, it's a really, really bad day at work. And instead of just focusing on it and just, focusing on the negative and just swallowing this big hard pill to swallow and just moving on with life, some people can do that. That's great. Some people are just wired and built differently. People who are like me, for example, whenever I have a day like that, the first thing I want to do is come home, give my puppy some kisses and love on her, and then get into littlespace, because I just forget about it the next day. And some people are like, Zach, you're so chill all the time. You're just so, you seem so nice. You haven't blown up at anyone. I mean, to me, being little is kind of a saving grace, because it's literally just like, okay, I'm not going to lose my temper, I'm not going to lose my cool, I'm just going to go home and regress and just be a baby. And that's just one of the amazing things about this, is that whether it's snuggling with a stuffy, or playing with a toy, or getting in a little space and dressing up as a kid or a baby, it's magical. I can't really explain it other than it's just magic. To coin Harry Potter stuff, and forgive me if this is kind of offensive, but I tend to call people who are not within the ABDL community muggles, because they don't understand magic, or they do not know of it. I call us littles, people who are magic folk, because we understand what it's like to step out of our own shoes, and what it's like to say, hey, I really just need a moment. I need a couple hours in a day. I need a weekend, and whenever you're talking to your spouse and say, hey, I don't understand this. And a lot of times when people don't understand something, they're afraid of it. They don't like it. They want to go away. They want it to not interfere with their life. And sometimes people jump off of the handle with things and just say really, really hurtful things, say things that are just, you can't take them back. And I implore you to really, really do your research. And I offer my channel to you. I offer it to say, hey, use my channel as research, watch me, watch what I do, watch how I play, watch how I interact with people during live streams and stuff like that, and just kind of see, this is kind of what my spouse or significant other is into. This is what they do. This is how they have fun. And it's just, there's just really nothing wrong with it. I ask people all the time, like, hey, would you rather your spouse be a drunk, be a drug addict, be a cutter, just all these incredibly negative things that could damage them physically and potentially kill them? Or would you rather just them take a day or a weekend or even a few hours to be a little, to pad up and just watch cartoons? I cannot tell you how emotionally satisfying it is and how much it helps me. It just makes my heart well up with so much joy that I'm able to watch cartoons and play with Legos and be patted and just escape. That's really all it is. It's just a big giant escape. And people do it differently. And if your spouse or significant other decides to say, hey, this is what makes me happy, this is what really helps me, I implore you, even if you don't understand it, I implore you to be understanding, to be to accommodate them in some form or fashion. Not everyone is into this, and not everyone can stomach changing a diaper or putting a diaper on someone or seeing someone that they're used to seeing as a 30-year-old man, and now they're seeing them as a overgrown 3-year-old. I know it can be scary. I know it can be very off-putting. I've seen it and experienced it, and I want you to be able to take my experience and my knowledge and apply it to where your significant other can benefit from you knowing exactly why this helps them. And it may be for different reasons. Sometimes within our community, it can be just pure age regression. It could just be someone who is just, I need to regress. I need to be a baby. And sometimes they mix it up with sexual things. And I'm not one to judge, but to each his own. I'm not familiar with that aspect of age play, but if that is what your spouse needs to have in order to release, help them. Help them with that. Help them just achieve that. Help them, whatever headspace they need to be in, just help them with that. A lot of people just sometimes just let them be on their own. And honestly, one of the most damaging things about this community is that we're already alone because we feel like, hey, I'm alone in this. I'm lonely. And yes, you have chat rooms. Yes, you have my places like my channel that where my goal is to say, hey, I think you're awesome the way you are. Love yourself. And just go from there. But if they get that from home, it'll feel just so much better. And you very well may see the closeness in your relationship reblossom. You very well may see an intimacy regrow and become something that it wasn't before. You just don't know until you try. With age play and age regression, this person may develop a separate side of them where they identify as something different. They may identify as a little girl, or a baby fur, or just someone who doesn't utilize pronouns, or just someone who just isn't who their big self is. To give you an example with myself, there's essentially two sides to me. There's regular Zach or big Zach, who is an adult, who takes care of things, 9-to-5 job, etc., etc. And then you have little Zach, who is little, who's 3, not 30, like big Zach is, and essentially is very dependent, as opposed to big Zach, who is very independent. And so seeing that may be very off-putting. Seeing that may be like, whoa, you're a different person. And it's not split personality disorder by any means. No. It's just a way for them to say, hey, I'm putting this part of me aside, and I'm going to embody this part of me. And then here comes the really, really fun part that I do not like discussing on my channel, and that is, how does this mix with religion? Where I come from, the majority of the population is of the Christian religion. Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist, Baker, Quaker, the candlestick makers, you name it. They are some type of religion that believes in God. And so, especially coming from the southern states, coming from the Bible Belt essentially, people are going to view this, and these are not my words. Let me go ahead and preface that. These are not my words, these are theirs. And these are also my father's words. It is a sin. It is gay. It is homosexuality. It is all these negative things that these people have no idea what it could potentially be, and they just view it as a sin. I had a gentleman who commented on my channel, and I've kept his comment flagged to where it's saved, and I look at it every once so often when I'm in doubt, because essentially he told me that being an ABDL, being someone like this is a sin, it's selfish, it's an abomination, it's not right. And I kind of thought to myself, I remember recalling something in Scripture where it says that we are to be the children of God. I also know it says that it's time for men to put aside childish things and to bond himself with his partner, with his wife. And to that I also say, yes, there are times in life you must put aside childish things. There are times in life where, okay, the diaper comes off, the toys get put away, and it's time to take care of business. during this time where the coronavirus is kind of putting a hurting on the world, little Zach hasn't had much time to shine. Little Zach hasn't had much time to really do anything fun. And Big Zach has taken the reins and has just been kicking butt and taking names and taking care of business. And to me, that's what that means. Of course, everyone interprets things differently. However, I look at being a little as really the embodiment of saying, hey, I am a child of God. I'm literally a kid right now, you know? And I feel like that if we really want to compare things to the spectrum of good and evil, I always tend to pick the lesser of two evils. I myself, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do things that harm my body. Instead, I just wear a diaper and regress and just have fun and play with toys, and honestly, I love it. It makes me happy. It makes me just overflow with joy. It makes me feel so stinking cute. And, you know, knock on wood, I feel stinking cute right now. I hate that my hair is a little long and I'm having to wear it in a different hairstyle and wear a beanie just to keep it in place. But hey, I feel cute because I'm being me. And that is another huge thing, is that your spouse or significant other may look at this as, this is who I really am. And nothing wrong with that, because that is a part of them that had either been sleeping for a very long time, that they've put away, that they tried to purge and forget, which I'll cover that in a minute. But there's going to be a time to where their little side is just going to shine very, very often, and it may be more often than what you're used to. And it's just who they are, and it's who I am, you know? And it's not so much of talking like a baby and baby talk and babbling and stuff like that. That is worst case scenarios that the media portrays us as a bunch of babbling buffoons who crap themselves. And it's just not like that. Some people may talk a little bit more childlike, but I have yet to meet another little who speaks in goo goo gaga. And honestly, I would never hope to meet a little who speaks like that, because honestly, that gets on my nerves personally, and I just want to deck them in the face. No one likes that. And I can guarantee it, no one talks like that, because we're still adults up here. We still think like adults, but we're still going to keep in mind we're going to be intelligent. And that's just it. And you know, when you see stuff like that in the media, and forgive me for getting a little hot, but when you see stuff like that in the media is intentionally trying to paint these people in a very negative image when you may or may not know the whole story. And so I implore you to have an open mind, an open heart, and just be very receptive of your spouse or your significant other. I'm gonna use those words interchangeably. So if they're not your spouse, I mean significant other, vice versa, whatever. So just be open with them. Just say, hey, I get this. I'm going to do some research about it, and don't automatically turn off to it because you don't like it. Don't be like, nope, but can't hear you, blah, 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 blah. No, don't do that. Don't try and turn it off. Don't pretend like it doesn't exist. Help them, because at the end of the day, you two are together. And if you turn your back on them, or if you ignore this side of them, you're only going to build up a wall between you two, to where eventually your spouse is going to be like, well, I can't get the love and support here. I'm going to try and find it elsewhere. And that's just a natural human response. Well, I'm not loved. I better see if someone else loves me. You know? It is really a hard thing, because whenever you do that, it's just like you've laid the foundation to what could be the end of your relationship. And for littles that are hiding this from your spouse, I'm not talking to you, quit hiding. Share with them. Say, hey, my love, whoever, this is a part of who I am. This is just what makes me happy. And for those of you who are going to eventually hear this news, don't react negatively, because a huge negative like that is just such a blow. And I know it sounds like I'm saying coddle your spouse because they're coming out to you like this, but you would want the same if it was the exact opposite. It could be something totally different. You could be saying, hey, honey, I'm into BDSM. Hey, honey, I like furry stuff. Hey, honey, leather boots get me off. Or, hey, honey, that plushie, that unicorn plushie, after I watched the Deadpool movie, I've developed this feelings for it. You never know. It could be anything. And so I just say to you guys, please have an open mind when it comes to this type of stuff, and do your research. There are tons of great articles out there that are probably better than this video, to tell you the truth. And if they're not, come back to this video, watch it again. I'm going to be making more parts on this where I'm going to be going in depth of what potentially a diaper does and how it helps your little, or how toys help, how just your little, and I say your little because at the end of the day, it's your spouse, it's your little. Just go with that for now. I'm using this to kind of encourage you to say, hey, I may be okay with this, and hopefully it turns into I am okay with this. Honey, I love you even more for telling me this. I cannot tell you just the times in which my sister has come to me and told me stuff and vented to me about things that are bothering her, and she's older than me, you know? And I've come to her and do the exact same thing. And every single time we trade back and forth all this information, and our reactions are positive, and we're better for it. And the situation ends up resolving in a very positive manner, and things go on. Life goes on. Nothing crazy changes. You have even more between you two. And that's what we could all always, anytime want. Just more between us, more things in common, more things that make us happy together, and more things that will prevent a metaphorical wall building up between the two of you, to where eventually you may or not go your separate ways. Littles just want love, and we want acceptance, because this has been a part of ourselves that has been very, very hard to come to terms with and tell people. And so when we come and tell you, just like you would tell us, have open arms. Not again to be religious, for those of you who do not believe, but just to use Christ as an example. He welcomes you with open arms. And I hope you do the same thing for your little. And I do the same thing for people who interact with me online. We may not be into the exact same things under the AgePlay umbrella. We may or may not even be under that same umbrella. There are people who message me all the time and tell me thank you for making my videos. And there are people also who message me all the time telling me that I should probably kill myself and I'm an abomination. That is the majority of my mailbox. And that is the majority of how your little may feel. Don't let them continue to feel like that. You will not know such a pure love than being hugged by a little that you potentially just changed, that you potentially just read a story to or interacted with them in a very fraternal, maternal figure exchange. You will not know until you see that magic in their eyes. Literally, it is one of the best feelings in the world. And I myself can't attest to the fact that seeing a little looking at me as a caregiver, because to be honest with you, I am the worst switch in the world. I can't do that. I'm just not wired that way. Some couples are, and it's fantastic. We'll cover that in another topic. But to sum everything up, this is a very special part of them. Don't kill it, because you may end up killing more than just that. I know it's a really dark thing to say, but I'm literally just speaking from my heart. I'm literally speaking from experience.
Alrighty, Boons, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Stay True and Stay You podcast. We covered a lot of ground with talking about your spouse coming to you and relaying their interest and desire to share this side of them with yourselves. The biggest stepping stone is going to be diapers and bridging that gap between just those things. And that's the scariest part for them, is saying, hey, I like to be a little, and I like to be small, and this is part of who I am. And there are a lot of people who wait years and years into their relationship, and because of fear. So them coming to you is a huge step. So be grateful and thankful that your partner, after all this time, or immediately into y'all's relationship, especially when things get serious, say, hey, I want to tell you this. And it's not so much of a it's a gotcha. It's not a gotcha at all. It's a confide and trust. It is them coming to you saying, all right, hey, if you truly like me for who I am, I want you to know of this other part of me. And them telling you this is just huge. It is a huge stepping stone. It's a huge act of bravery on their behalf, because they are terrified. So I encourage you, again, just to be as open and accepting of them as possible. And yes, there may be a possibility that you're not in this at all. The least you can do is still support your partner and help them find their way through their feelings, and to help them any way you can, even if you don't participate in the act of age regression, facilitating that as a caregiver, or as a big or dominant, however have you, whatever your position is in the dynamic. So just think of all that when this conversation that your spouse has had with you is said and done with. But anyways, Boons, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Next episode, we are going to be covering Switch and Identify, which is going to be another callback to my What is AgePlay series from 2020. Can you believe that was 4 years ago? So be sure, look for that. Just to give you a quick heads up, I am going to be taking a break from creating content from essentially the month of June all the way until the end of August. Burnout is really hitting me hard, folks, so I would appreciate your support. Also, you may have noticed that a lot of my content has migrated off of my channel. That is now going to be available via my Subscribe Star. So if you wish to further support me, or to continue to have access to that content, I would greatly appreciate your support, rather. If you would come and check out my Subscribe Star, subscribe. It's $5 a month. You get access to all my original content. And here's the crazy thing. I found even more content that I had completely forgotten about, that I had either uploaded and deleted a long time ago, or just never published. So if you want access to that, that is all going to be there. All of my diaper reviews, Little's Kitchen, Babs DIY, that's all going to be there. So be sure and check that out. Link for my Subscribe Star will be in the description. Your support will be, again, greatly appreciated, and it'll help me now more than ever, because I am officially in the most credit card debt I've ever been in my entire life, of about $6,000, because of a major home repair that had to happen because my insurance screwed me. So please consider supporting me and help alleviate that burden, and to get back at my insurance for not doing the right thing. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic week. Remember to always stay true and stay you, and I will see you all in the next episode of the Stay True and Stay You podcast. Until then, good night, Boons.